this video, I'm going to talk about alarms, the alarm banner specifically, and what to do when the Archestra InTouch alarm banner stops working. Now, I'm going to say at the outset and condition this with there are several reasons, a number of reasons why an alarm banner will stop working. This is going to touch on a very common reason, but it's not inclusive of everything, of anything that could happen, and I'll touch on this a little bit more. But there are some serious things that can cause it, like your firewall issues, networking, other network permissioning, and that sort of thing. So this is assuming that your networks are all correct and that they were previously working. So they're previously working, and all of a sudden they stopped working. Now, as far as the scenario we're talking about here, it is related to the Session 0 isolation feature that Microsoft put in their systems, starting with Vista operating system and going forward. Now, there is a blog on this at learnscada.com, and if you'll go take a look at the blog, it'll go through the whole thing in detail. So in this video, we're going to cover this. Essentially, this Session 0 isolation feature was designed to separate the services on a computer operating system from the graphic user interfaces on the operating system. So InTouch, being a user interface, is now in a separate session. So all of a sudden we had a problem. So what Wonderware did to resolve it was they created this registry edit that essentially says, hey, this is session 0, because the Archestra, we need to operate in session 0. So if you've double checked and make sure that your platform alarm provider checkbox is checked and everything else was good, it was a known working system, now it's just quit working, the first thing you want to do is look in your logger and see if you see this message. Now, I'll be honest with you, I've never seen this message, but supposedly it does exist. And also, there have been a number of hotfixes that have been put out, were put out to resolve this issue, but I've seen it continue in 2014 R2, 2014 R2 with patch 2. TechNote 570, though, covers this, and I actually give you a link here. If you're registered with the Wonderware development website, you can go get it there. If you're not registered, then I have a video on the YouTube channel that shows you how to get registered. So you want to register, it's free, and you can get access then to some knowledge base and some other downloads. Now, also as a cautionary, let's say that before you make changes to your registry, make sure you have a good backup. And the differences between, the big difference here is whether you have a 32-bit or a 64-bit system. And the quickest way to find that out is to go to your computer and just right-click on that icon, hit Properties, and then you'll see. So I have a 64-bit operating system, and that will tell me then which of the paths in the registry that I need to go to. Since we're going to be adding a new DWORD key called Session0LegacyMode, and we're going to set it equals 0 for a system platform, or legacy, or 1 for a legacy operation. If you have a 32-bit system, you're going to go with HKLM, and that means local machine, and then software Wonderware alarm manager. And the other one, we're going to just insert WOW 6432 node, which is another folder that's in the registry when you have a 64-bit system. Now, this is a very simple fix to do, and essentially what you do is you go on to your HMI, where you have your actual deployment of your platform, and you would just simply type either regedit or regedit 32, whichever one you want to use. And I've already been browsed to it, but let's back up here. So we'll go up here all the way to the top. It says H key local machine. So we're gonna expand that. Then we'll go to software. We're gonna expand that, and we'll go down to WOW 6432 because I have a 64-bit system. Expand that. And we're going to go, there's Wonderware, so we'll expand that, and then we're going to find Alarm Manager. And now this I've already done this previously, so it's in here. That's all you have to do. Now let's just say just make sure it's set to 0. Well, let's just say it wasn't there. So let's delete it. It's as simple as this. New D word, enter, and then just type it in. Session 0 legacy mode. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Done. Now here's the problem though. What if you have a production environment where you have hundreds of these things deployed? Now you have to call the operator, interrupt their operations. Hey, I need to take your HMI offline for 10 or 15 minutes, and that can be a problem because it could take weeks to do all of these this way because you have to coordinate every time, and then if they're busy, you have to call back. I decided to come up with a quick way that I could do. At first, I thought about PowerShell. I thought about remote registry. The problem with these methods is that they require firewall rules that permit it. And so in most corporations, I know in the one I was working in, they did not permit those type of operations. So I'm going to delete this again. And just to show you how this tool works, essentially what we did, so let's go back to the blog. And essentially this is, it just steps you through. This is exactly what I said. You add this thing, and then we talked about if it's a production environment. Here's what you do. Step one, we're going to create a batch file that is going to be copied into a temporary location on a target computer that we're going to have an object run that. And the batch file for the 32-bit looks like this. The batch file for the 64-bit looks like this. So we'll go back over to our computer, and I think I put it on the C drive. So this, there it is. This is the legacy. I'm gonna open it up, and there you go. So there's my, when this batch file is run, it will add that session key. Okay, so we'll see it's not there. Now, in our Galaxy, what we did is we created this template called Session0LegacyMode. And in here, I created some UDAs. I created a Boolean UDA called addKey, a Boolean UDA called getMode32, getMode64, and session value, which is a string. Then I created 3 simple scripts, a script called addKey. And now, so the beAddKey Boolean attribute is a trigger that when it's set to true, it'll execute because this script executes while true. So when it's true, it executes. Now, as soon as it hits this, it sets it to false and it stops executing. So this ensures that it's only going to run one time. And we dimension the object. This process, and this is a .NET DLL namespace. It's .NET process that's available to us. So what we're doing is we're instantiating this .NET namespace as an object, and then we're going to run that .NET namespace process to run our batch file. So you have to have the complete path and fully qualified name to your batch file here. Now these 2 scripts are going to check to see if it's been done. And essentially it's set up the same way. So the getMode64 Boolean is set to 1, runs one time, and stops. So here we are going to get our registry key .NET namespace. We're going to set our key to our correct path right here. Then we're going to instantiate to local machine. Then we're going to set up our key in this value right here, which is a registry key type. Then we're going to say if, oh, and looky here, I got in a hurry, so you guys get to see me. I screwed up. So this, because is 64, what it is, I copy pasted 32 and then just ran through here. So this needs to be set to 64. Yeah, and see how they're red? That's telling you there's something wrong. It's not really resolving. So as I get these corrected, they should resolve out. Okay, so get unknown type legacy mode 32. Oh yeah, because it's 64. Okay, Now, why is the me.s session value not working? Because that should surely work. Okay, so let's see what we get here. All right. And it looks like it's going to resolve. So let's try her out and see what we got. I'm going to save this guy. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to deploy him out to the platform where I actually have this. Right, so Win Platform 1 was that box over there. And we're going to deploy this guy. Okay, now if I've set this up right, and here's the thing. So to get this to work, we're going to use the object, view in the object viewer. So right click object viewer. And as soon as it comes up, it'll give it a minute, let it discover the path. It just takes a second or two. So it's found the path. Okay, so now we're going to go and I'm going to get the add key. I'm going to get the 64. I'm going to get the session value. Okay, so if I've done this right, when I double click the get mode 64 and set it to true, it should go true and then false. Okay, and let's give it a sec. If it doesn't go to false, then it's okay. What that's telling me, I'm checking to see if it's there. It's not there, so it's never going to go false. So let's double click and turn that off. That's basically, so I did a check first. Now let's add the thing. Let's go here. If I did this right, it'll go true and then false. And it may happen so fast that you didn't see it. Okay, so we did that. Now let's check again. And it's there. See, because we got the 0 back. If we had gotten a null back, or if this had gone to true and not gone to false, the add key, if it had gone true and not gone false, then that would mean that I probably didn't have my batch file in the right place or something. And now when we refresh this, there it is. Okay, so it just automatically added the Session0LegacyMode dword key and set it to 0. So now I physically didn't have to log on to that computer. All I had to do was copy the batch file to a temporary location. I chose the C drive. You can put it anywhere as long as the script matches, because you have to put the fully qualified path in the script. Then you run the object, and then you're done. And then you can do that for every single computer. And what you would do is you would just move this Session0LegacyMode object from platform to platform as you move down through your systems. If you want to learn more, you can head on over to orchestrabasics.teachable.com or just orchestrabasics.com. And I have a featured course, Introduction to Archestra Programming, where I actually go into some detail about building a galaxy and creating some user-defined objects to communicate with .NET system environment variables, both with native scripts and custom scripts. So I hope you enjoyed this brief tutorial. And if you'd like more information, head on over there and enroll and sign up for the course. Thanks. And if you like this, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up or any comments that you may have regarding this course.